I was like, oh my God, I'm a horrible mother. Oh God. WWE in our house every day. It's a form of torture.
I've like lost my body for you.
I'll never get that image out of my head. Okay, I take everything back.
Welcome to It Mom, a podcast where it is all about you. And I'm your host, Paulina Perry, and today I'm joined by Elly, who's going to share her experience about balancing it all. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I know. You mentioned that it was your first in-person podcast.
Yes, I've done one before during COVID times, but this is my first in-person one. So, you popped my in-person podcast cherry.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Well, I'm excited about our conversation, and I want to start it off with a question that I usually ask, just to kind of set the scene. And in terms of motherhood, what was your expectation of what that's going to look like before you were a mother?
Yes. So my expectation was that I feel like a lot of moms are just going to hate me for saying this, but I thought it was going to be easy. I thought I was going to coast through motherhood. Growing up, I guess I never really saw my mom struggling when you're a kid, but when you're older, you don't realize that until after. But in the moment, I just thought the way she handled motherhood and took care of us was so easy. Mm-hmm. She fed us, bathed us, provided us with clothes, and that was it. But then when you become a mother, when you birth your baby, you're like, okay, and I got to keep this thing alive. I have to feed it. I have to, it needs to sleep. I need to get my sleep. So I thought it was going to be easy, smooth sailing. I thought I was going to figure things out. I didn't think that I would struggle so much.
So tell me more about that struggle. How did it actually play out for you in the end?
Yeah, so I guess one of the biggest struggles for me was, when I was pregnant, just when I was about to have my first, a lot of people would say oh, enjoy the newborn stage, get lots of snuggles, make sure you nap a lot, sleep a lot. And, a lot of my friends had babies and kids before me, and they were able to manage it. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I'll be able to handle this. What's going to be so hard about looking after this tiny, small baby? A neighbor of mine had mentioned, you need to get yourself a night nurse. It's life-changing. It's the help that you need if you can afford it. And my husband's like, yeah, that's something that we can afford and look into. And then so I had booked one. And then when the time almost came that I was going to have my son, I decided that no, I don't need a night nurse. Mm-hmm. I can do this all by myself. This is going to be easy. My friends did it. I can do it. And so the first week after having our newborn, Jaden, we were struggling. I was up at night. He was up at night too. We were fighting. I swear we were close to divorce because it was just no sleep. No one's getting any sleep. So after a week, I was online searching night nurses again. Mm-hmm. And then I booked the woman that I had initially planned to book. And that was life-changing. Mm-hmm. I, night and day, I got my rest. I was able to sleep. I was able to be a functional person again. And
that was helpful.
Helpful.
The funny thing is that, everybody says, oh, it's going to be this most incredible experience. You have your baby, you're going to snuggle, nap when they nap. Yeah. Nobody tells you that somebody has to clean the kitchen while they nap, or you want to have your coffee in peace while they nap.
Yes.
Right? So it's really hard to follow that advice, the conventional advice for motherhood. And then there is a lot of stigma around getting help too. So why did you decide not to get the night nurse in the first place?
I'm a do-it-all person. I'm oh, easy, I can do it. Give me a challenge and I'll do it. So of course, give me a baby, I'll take care of it, no problem. So my friends, I look at my friends, I think of my friends who've had 1, 2 kids, they've done it, and I'm they've done it without a night nurse. I can definitely do it too. I don't need a night nurse. We don't need to spend this money. And a part of that was also, I think I was maybe being a bit judgy, judging myself, why would you get this help if you can do it yourself? Mm-hmm. But really not, at the time, not thinking about the mental toll that it would take on me if I had not accepted the help.
Yeah.
And I had experienced that. Like, we had experienced our first baby, not having the sleep, us arguing.
Yeah.
And it was a struggle for us. And then that was the turning point for us. I was like, okay, I need to get help. Also, in my mind, when I became a mother, I had imagined my mom's gonna help. You know, I had a lot of friends who had their parents come and help them out for a few months, or parents that live close by. My parents, they're about a 45, 50-minute drive away, so it's not convenient. But in my head, I had imagined that they would come and help. My mom would be around a lot, but it wasn't like that at all. You know, my parents are older. You know, I had a baby. I shouldn't have this expectation that my parents are going to be around to help out, because it's not. So in reality, we didn't have that help. So in the end, we opted for that help, so that in the end, we can look after ourselves, so that I can fill up my own cup, and to have the help so that I can clean up around here and there, so that I can take a nap when I need to. And the times when I was sleeping was at night, when our night nurse was there.
Yeah.
So yes, a lot of people say like, oh, sleep when baby sleeps during the day, but that's really hard. You know, sometimes the baby naps for 10 minutes, if you're lucky an hour, but you never know when you're going to get that time.
No, for sure. And it's amazing how, like, a lot of women resist help, because obviously, you know, we want to do it all ourselves. We want to be these ideal mothers, but it's not just the financial toll. Like, we think, oh, you know, it's going to be expensive. It's the toll in the relationship. It's the toll 100%. On your mental state. And I think people are not talking about how you being sleep deprived, irritable, you know, snappy is going to affect your child. Like, your baby feels you. So help is very important in these first few weeks, months, as long as you can afford it, because it gives you an opportunity to kind of balance yourself again, because you're also like out of balance. Like,
hormonal,
I remember. Yeah.
Emotional.
Like, you're all over the place.
Crying for no reason.
Yeah. Did you experience that?
I did. And my husband definitely saw that. But I experienced it, and I was like, what is going on? Like, especially with my second child, when he was born, and my firstborn, he was just like, he didn't want me. He wanted my husband. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a horrible mother, thinking that I'm a horrible person just because he just wants his daddy.
Right from birth?
Yeah, not right from birth, but when my second was born, and I was very focused on like breastfeeding him.
It's very common.
Yeah, so I just had that major emotions come through, especially when you see your firstborn. At that time, it was just like, you know, like during the day, in the morning, oh, I want daddy, and I was like so emotional
about
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, I totally hear you, because I had a similar situation when Sammy, my second, was born. Sophie just completely switched. My daughter just completely switched to my husband, and she just wanted daddy. And I remember like crying and being very upset about it. I mean, I was also like hormonal, still recovering from the second birth, but I was also so offended, because it was like, well, I birthed you. Like, I carried you for 9 months.
Like, I ripped this thing up to have you.
I'm breastfeeding you. Like, I've like lost my body for you. And then all of a sudden you're like, Daddy, I don't want mommy. She's like, no, mommy.
Yeah.
And like, it would literally make me cry.
Yeah.
And there were like moments where I would just get really upset. And you know what? Like, I got resentful. So I would be like, okay, you don't want mommy? Fine. Mommy doesn't want you either. But that's like a wrong thing to do.
Yes.
And then I would go to the room and I was like, I can't do that. It's not her fault.
Yes.
Because she's just gravitating to the safest parent that is with her most of the time, which was my husband at the time, because I was busy with the baby, even though we tried to balance it out as much as we could. So I totally hear you. And I think it's, it's something that not a lot of healthcare providers kind of tell you. It's not the conversation.
No.
So you got to learn it on your own, and from different like resources like YouTube or books where they talk about like the sibling dynamics.
Yeah.
And when you have a second child, what that does to your first child and how you can kind of try balance it out.
Yeah.
So would you say you had like a big struggle there?
I think the big struggle was during the hormonal like changes post pregnancy, but it wasn't too bad. Thankfully, I didn't go through a hard time with any postpartum
like depression or anxiety.
But I was very hormonal, emotional, and I did cry a lot. But I think that was because of the hormones.
Yeah, was that tough in your relationship, or was like your partner supportive of that during that period?
I mean, my husband is definitely supportive, and he did notice my hormonal shifts and how emotional I got, and I think it also came through even more because like when our second child came, it was like we did 2 under 2, so that was like insane. But like I'd have this newborn, it's just like, how do you manage this under 2 child running around, but then you have this baby and you're like don't leave me alone. For the longest time I was so scared and anxious anytime I was left alone with 2 by myself. And you know, my husband would like take his washroom breaks and he'd go and like get food, or he'd step out, or he'd go to work, but like I would be there, and like every time he had stepped out without like saying anything, announcing it, you know, like I would get anxious, like, oh my God, like why did you just like all of a sudden leave me with these 2 children? Whereas for me, I was always like, oh, okay, babe, I'm going to the washroom for 5 minutes. I'll be right back. I would always announce when I was going to the washroom. I would announce if I had to go and take a shower, you know? But I think the one thing that I wish I'd done then was just like, I did let him know, but I feel like I was kind of like too late. I should have told him sooner. Like, hey, can you just like tell me when you're leaving? Can you tell me when you're going to the washroom? Because this is how I feel. I'm feeling extra anxious right now because of my hormones, because of this change of going from 1 child to 2 children.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. I think like a lot of women could relate to it and use it, because we're learning as we go. Like a lot of this like psychological communication stuff, you don't really prepare for. Like in prenatal classes, they prepare you for the labor and delivery. And even then, a lot of times they like sugarcoat it so much that if you have any kind of complication, it crushes you. At least like I've spoken to a lot of women that had that experience. But they don't talk about the family dynamics, like about what can you do to help your relationship. Because going back to your comment about we were on a brink of divorce, I feel like it's a super common thing. And it's not because people are bad for each other or their partner. It's not necessarily because their partner is not supportive. It's just, it's such an emotionally charged stage of life.
100%.
Like time frame. And it's short. I would say like first 6 months to a year, it's when it's like the shakiest.
Yeah.
Especially with the first child.
And the sleep deprivation, for sure. It's a form of torture. Sleep deprivation is a form of torture. And I think that 100% heightened it, 100%.
Yeah. So what would you say helped you in your relationship to kind of balance things out and, find communication strategies to help out during that period?
100%. The night nurse helped both of us because we were both able to get our sleep. And we didn't use the night nurse for a long time. We used her for 2 weeks. Usually people use her for 2 weeks or 4, or some people who have the money can use them for a while. But I think we used ours for 2 to 3 weeks. And that set this really solid base of him figuring out how to sleep longer. We started sleep training a little bit, and that set a solid base for us to kind of like wean off of her and then just go from there
and do it yourself.
Yeah.
So she would come to your house, and obviously you go to sleep, and she stays awake with the baby, or how does it work?
Yeah, so she would come. So we tried to get like, I know with newborns, like you don't really set this schedule for them. But the night nurse had encouraged, like, you set this time for them to, like, start going to bed at, like, you bathe them, go to bed at 7. So she would come at 7. I'd feed him. I'd breastfeed him. And then she would take over, try to get him to sleep. And then if he woke up in the night, she would get up with him, and then she would feed him.
Okay, so you had to pump.
I had to pump. And even though that meant me still waking up at night to pump, I had to pump no matter what because, my breasts were sore. I had to relieve that milk. But I would pump, and then she would use that pumped milk and feed him.
And I mean, I would imagine you could pump and half sleep.
Yeah.
Because you see, like I never pumped, and we didn't have a night nurse. We somehow survived without divorcing, but we were, at a point where I was like, what am I doing here? Even though like my husband is a saint, he just doesn't walk on water. That's what I usually say about him, because he's like really supportive. But it's tough because sleep deprivation could really do it too. And what they kind of don't tell you also is that even if you don't sleep in the same bed, like typically a man should ideally go to another room if there is, an opportunity. But if you live in a condo, he's gonna wake up even if he's in another room. Like we slept in the same bed. So every time I fed the baby, he was awake. Like he wasn't really sleeping. So he was just as sleep deprived as me. But then he had to work all day and like mentally engage. So I find that that's pretty hard too. And I heard from other women that like sending your man to another room for the first couple of months is a good strategy, because at least one parent is like in their right mind and not snapping. So in the evening when your patience runs low, they come back from work and they can be that like solid kind of caregiver.
100%.
I want to talk a little more about your current situation, because obviously you have 2 boys, which is already like a lot. I'm sure you have your hands full. Yeah, I have 1 boy and I'm like, I mean, like, I don't know how some people do it.
It's like WWE in our house every day.
Yeah, it's a lot. So, obviously you're busy with that, but you're also working professional.
Yes.
And you're also trying to be a creator and trying to start your own thing, which is, by the way, I'm super excited for other people to kind of check out, because you're like the cool, you don't see that a lot. You're like the cool mom. You're like skateboard to school with a scooter. Like when I saw your content for the first time, I was like, this girl is cool. Like, because you see a lot of like fashionable moms and like, pretty moms or fit moms, which you also, by the way, are. But like the skater mom, that's new. So I love that. But tell me more about that balance, because that's a lot. That's a lot to handle.
It is. I am a very ambitious person, and I've always been that person even before kids. And, it's hard going from looking after yourself and you're the only one who matters in the world to now it's like it's not you anymore. Yeah. It goes from you and then you and your husband and then now 2 children that mean my family means the entire world to me, so you come second. So now when it comes to work, if you had asked me, my manager had asked me this, he's like, where do you see where do you want to go from here? So I work as a software developer and I've been doing that for a while, and my manager said, where do you see yourself going? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to become a senior developer staff at EM? And I said, and I had to think about it overnight. And I came back to him and I was honest with him. And I said, you know what? If you had asked me this 6-7 years ago, I would have said, yeah, I want to be like a staff engineer, maybe an engineering manager. I want to manage a team. But now, because I have kids and because of the season that I am in my life, I only have the mental capacity for so much. Like I don't have the mental capacity to be a senior or a staff or an EM now. I have the mental capacity to be an individual contributor. I just want to get my work done, and then log off at 5. Sometimes I'll log off a bit later because there's work that needs to be done, but I don't want to be working outside of those hours, because outside of those hours is my time with my kids. I don't want to be an absent parent. Or let's just say if there's field trips going on at their schools, pizza lunches to volunteer at, I want to be there. I want to be there with them, and I want to show up when they're not expecting me and like see that smile on their face.
And be part of their lives.
I want to be part of their lives. So I feel like it's a struggle, even working now, not at the level that I would have liked to be when I was younger. Even working as an individual contributor, as a software developer now, it's still hard because, you're problem solving every day, working with people. But then at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to make for dinner? Oh my gosh, it's oh, remember, it's photo day tomorrow. And then you're getting messages in the group chat being like, oh, don't forget it's pizza lunch. Oh, it's Blue Jays Day tomorrow. Make sure they wear a blue shirt. And you're like remembering all these things while trying to do your work.
Else.
And all the doctor's appointments and stuff like that.
So, and your personal stuff too.
And my personal stuff too. And, you know, I don't know, maybe some people who are on the outside looking at me being like, oh, it's kind of selfish that you're going to do your personal stuff on the side. But I wouldn't think it's selfish. I would say that it's not selfish at all. It's filling up our cup. It's like you doing this podcast right now. This is filling up your cup so that you're able to be the best mom that you can be to your children. So that's like the same with me.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like it's so tough for women because in our 20s, when we graduate from university, and even while we're still at university, like we're taught that you have to be ambitious, you have to have these big goals, you need to move forward. And if you have an A-type personality, and I tend to have A-type personality moms on my podcast just because like I am that type myself, it's so tough to make that switch because you're so conditioned to be successful, and you identify success typically, like for me, success always meant being successful in my career.
Yes.
I always tied it to how much money I make, what's my, kind of status, not necessarily title, but status in terms of connections and what I do, how big my team is. And then all of a sudden, it's not that you have to make that switch, but it just feels so natural to make that switch. But you're unprepared because now you're feeling that you're like sacrificing. If we were prepared right off the bat and they told us, look, up until you're like 30, 35, up until you have children, go as fast and as hard as you can.
Yes.
And then you're going to slow down.
Yes.
Nobody told us that.
No. I wish someone told us that.
And then you go on Instagram and like everywhere else, and everyone is like, oh, we're like going up this, upward curve still. And I was, no, you're not. Or you're sacrificing your children if you
100%.
are, in a sense.
It's like seeing when you see, a woman CEO who's got children, and you're like, before you're like, wow, I want that. I want to climb the corporate ladder and I want to be that woman. I want to be that, woman in this position of power, and be this example for all women out there that they can get there. But then that takes a lot of sacrifice. Like, how much time is that CEO spending with her children at home? And we weren't prepared for that to say that, hey, like up until an age, like, go as hard as you can, but it's okay to slow down and not focus on titles, not focus on promotion, not focus on salary. It's okay to just slow down, take the time off if you need to, if you can, and be with your children, because that is the most important time. And that's just something that I didn't grow up with. In my family.
Yeah, because even our parents, that generation was that was like one of the first generations where women were in the workforce, growing and engaged so actively that like there was just such a huge expectation for women to work and be taxpayers that nobody really emphasized that other part that comes with having children, where you have to you have to slow down. I mean, you don't have to, but you naturally want to.
It was funny, before kids, when I thought like being a mother would be so easy, and this is when I was still dating my husband, and there was we lived in a neighborhood that had a lot of like stay-at-home moms. So in I was being judgy then. I was like, oh, look at these stay-at-home moms. They have it so they don't have to work, and they can just like walk around in their Aloe Lululemons all day with their kids and not work. Oh, must be hard. And then I became a mom, and I was like, okay, I take everything back.
This is amazing.
Erase everything I ever thought, ever said, ever assumed.
Yeah, the tread wife. It's so funny because I've always, I feel terrible, but I was very judgy towards like stay-at-home moms. Even just growing up, like I feel like it was the stigma that came from my own family, because my mom was very ambitious and a lot of times she made more money than my dad, and she always kind of were the leader in the family, and I was conditioned to be like that. And her opinion kind of transferred onto me, because she was always like, oh, a woman has to work and has ambition, has to have ambition. And I remember having this negative outlook on women that stayed home, and I'd be like, oh, it'd be so boring.
Yeah.
They would not be interesting at all.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Like,
They don't know what
like,
hard work is.
yeah,
you
I'd be
know?
like, oh, they go grab their coffee in the morning, and like, what do they do like all day? What do they clean up? And I would make fun almost of women who stayed home. And then when I had kids, I realized that it's like one of the hardest jobs, by the way, staying home with kids.
It's a job in itself.
It's a job in itself. Like, I take it all back. I apologize publicly for ever thinking that. I was never vocal about it because I didn't want to offend anybody, because I think everybody has their own choice. But I did think that. And I now realize, well, A, it's one of the hardest jobs you can do because there's no instant gratification for anything you do. Like, you're not getting a promotion, a bonus, recognition. You're just doing the hardest work and you don't get anything in return for decades. Like, until your kids kind of go to college and start doing things in the world, you don't really see returns on your investments of time and effort. So, like, I gotta say that now, being a mom of two and like trying to balance it all, similarly to you, I would love to have a lot more time with my family and, and have an opportunity to potentially retiring early, But not everyone can do it.
No. Like, for me growing up, my parents they had immigrated to Canada from Vietnam. They were like boat people, grew up with nothing. So it's like my parents were like factory workers, like, so seeing my mom like work so hard and do what she can to like provide for us, and like, and I feel bad because when I was younger, I was like, oh, like, well, like, she never came and volunteered. She never came on like school trips. Like, I feel like I held that against her for a while, but for her, it was like this survival. It's like, I need to go to work, make money to provide for you guys. Like, there's no working from home for in a factory. Like, she was physically going in and working. So there was no way for her to like just step out of work and go to any school events for us. And then I think that's also where I think that's also why maybe part of that judgment came from. It's just seeing how my mom worked hard in that way to make those sacrifices, and then making these assumptions about like stay-at-home moms, which again, I take back.
Yeah, because you resent it, right? You're like, well, my mom is working hard, and some women are not.
It's like you growing up and seeing your mom working hard. It's like, okay, well, I grew up seeing my mom working so hard, busting her ass. But
100%. But I'm going to say this is controversial, but I think there's no such thing as work-life balance, especially when you have kids.
No.
Like, you could create it before you have kids, maybe, but when you have kids, there's just no such thing as work-life balance. And I think what people don't understand is that you don't have to give up your career.
Yeah.
It's just different seasons. But a lot of times it is normal and healthy to slow down at a certain season when you have small children, because this is when they need you the most. This is when you form your connection, because if you don't, then don't be surprised that your teenagers close the door on you and they don't want to talk to you.
You're never going to get that time back.
No.
I think about that all the time.
You won't be able to connect with them on the same kind of deep level when they're older. And I think it's only like from birth to like 7, they say it's that like very important time where you have to build the connection with your children, and you build connection for spending time with them. There's nothing else that they want. They don't care about gifts, about like treats. They just want your time.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized. Sometimes like I pick up my daughter from school early and I just take her with me. Like, we do things together, like things that like I would take her to gym and and like,
and they love it.
Yeah. And she would put her gymnastics outfit and do whatever, like yoga things, and I would try to do my exercises. Well, first of all, it teaches her that you got to be healthy, you got to stay fit, and you got to exercise.
Setting an example.
But for her, it's just I'm doing something with my mommy, and she's engaged, and we're doing something together, or we go to a store and she picks snacks and we chat and we laugh. Like, you don't have to. People think, oh, spending quality time with my kids, I don't have time for it. You can drag them around doing your errands. Like, it's fine, but you have to be engaged with them emotionally, because and you shared this kind of behind the scenes when we started chatting this morning, that like our mom's generation, they were very like functional parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's unpack that.
Yes. So, as I mentioned, my mom was just always working to provide for us to survive. And whenever she had gotten home from work, she would, she'd feed us, bathe us, and then while we were around, she would just like, and we'd try to like interact and show her things. She'd be like cleaning or like chopping up food. And, like I think in her mind then she thought that she was spending time with us. And then so fast forward to me being a mom, I was doing the exact same thing. I, like a lot of people, you go on Instagram and they're like, spend time with your children. I'm like, well, I spend all day, every day with my children. And this is like during maternity leave. And then they're like, no, like actually play with them, because I was with them, but I was like changing their diapers, putting them to bed, feeding them. Like I'm with them all the time, but no, that doesn't count as spending time with them. It's like play with them. Like when they're toddlers, like sit down with them with their Legos and play.
Yeah.
And that's something that my mom never did. And actually when she did, there was this time that I remember so well. It was, she would put us to bed. I'd have this white little teddy bear, and she would do this funny thing where she'd make the bear talk and come to life. And I loved it so much. And I'd be like, do it again, do it again. And it was like my favorite thing. That was the thing that brought me the most joy. And I remember being 4 or 5 years old, but I remember that so well, even though she didn't spend that much time playing with me. But that time when she did play with me, I'll never get that image out of my head. And I remember that. And now I think to myself as a mom, seeing myself as a mom now, it reminds me that what I had felt then, they need to feel that all the time.
Yeah, or at least most of the time.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, because I think like we just get so busy in daily life. I'm definitely like a function-oriented mom in a sense that like I'd be sitting with my kid trying to cuddle and be like, oh, your nails need to be cut. And then I'll go and get the clippers, or like, oh, yeah, I'll be playing with their hair. Like, oh, you need a haircut. I should book a haircut. Like I always get distracted.
Yes, same. I'm exactly.
Yeah, like it's exhausting, because I just want to sit with them and be with them and engage with them physically and emotionally. That's what they need. And sometimes it's the hardest thing to do, like especially if you're a certain personality type, when you're like slightly anxious, you're just thinking all that. Like I have like 3 layers of thoughts in my head at any given moment, and it's like really, really hard to just like just be there. And yeah, like you have to learn it, but in order to learn it, you have to have the opportunity to slow down, and not everybody has that, so I get it.
It's hard. It's like, I feel like you need to practice slowing down every day. I feel like you can't just like all of a sudden slow down.
It also comes down to help, what we kind of started off with, because you can do it all, but then you're sacrificing that quality time with your child, because you are present physically but not necessarily emotionally engaged. So like getting help so somebody else can clean your house, maybe make your food, or you just get like a delivery service, right? Like there's so many services right now. Like we use one of these like services where they just deliver kind of ready to make recipes, 3 a week, and then like we pick them in advance, so I know what they are. They all take about 30 minutes to cook, so it's fairly easy. And then I don't have to worry about ingredients, because like I'm not holding that in my head that like I have to buy this like spice, or I have to buy this or this ingredient, because usually when you start cooking you're like, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, like and they're really nice kind of diverse recipes, but like that took away a lot of that mental load. And like having a cleaner, even if they come every 2 weeks and they wash your floors, your bathrooms, your bathtubs, because you can keep it tidy in between, but like this is something that I don't want to do. Like I don't want to wash
like
the floors.
It's like you don't mind doing it. I mean, we're not like fans of cleaning, but it's like it's time that you could be spending with your children.
It's so worth it.
100%.
It's not just the time you could be spending with your children. It's also taking off that mental load
100%.
that is actually preventing you from being present with them.
Yes.
So in order to slow down, you have to create that space. And a lot of times you have to do it for some form of help. And now I get it, like not everyone has the opportunity. Unfortunately, in our economy, especially in North America right now, with all the price, like it's hard. And a lot of people do like live paycheck to paycheck and really like survive with little children. And I think what you could do, and this is something that I remember from my childhood. So you talked about the little teddy bear, and what came to mind is that my father used to take us into the forest on weekends. He worked all week, and he actually didn't even stay with us during the week. He would come during the weekend because we lived in like suburban, whatever Russian little town. And then my dad worked in the city, and so he would come on weekends and take us into forest and I remember when I was little, I was like in a backpack, and then my older brother would like walk with him, and he would take photographs of different things in nature. And in spring, he would take photographs of like birds making nests and then like photograph them every weekend until the little birdies flew out of the nest. So we had these like cases and cases of slides. You know, before like you didn't have pictures, you just had slides. Yeah. And so then in the winter, instead of movies, because I don't think we owned TV for the longest time. Like when I talk about my childhood to my husband, who's Canadian, he's like, it sounds like my dad's childhood. It's like, this is like a generation behind, because I grew up in like rural, you know, Russia. My mom is Ukrainian, my dad is Russian, and it's like they were just kind of figuring it out back then. But I remember that very vividly, and I think I was like maybe 3 years old when he started doing that. But that was like the biggest thing, because he was so present. So he took us into nature, and I find that the best way for me to slow down and kind of be in the moment with my kids is to do something with them in the nature. Because if I'm home, I'm going to be like, oh, pillows are not straight. We need to clean here. Like, but when I'm in the nature, I'm kind of forced to slow down.
I love that.
So, and it's free. You don't have to pay for it. So if you have those like moments, even just during the weekends, those would be the core memories for the children, and also that connection point.
Yeah, no, you're right. I never thought about that, but I love doing things outside of the house. But I never thought that I would do things outside of the house, because it forced me to get away from the things that I would do.
You want to do.
Yeah. But like I love taking my kid. Okay, this is like maybe a selfish thing, but like I like taking my kids to do things that I like doing. So that's like I've taken them roller skating with me before. I've taken my oldest roller skating with me to a roller skating pop up. I've taken them skateboarding with me, and then they love it, because then like I'm having fun doing what I love, and then I'm sharing what I love with them. And like you said, I'm not thinking about, you know, my home to-do list that I need to do. I'm just like out enjoying my time and spending that quality time and creating memories with them.
No, I love it. And you know, it's fine. Kids are figuring out. Like at that age, they don't even know what they like. Like they need to try different 100%. Things to figure it out. So it's fine. That's why like I take, you know, my daughter to gym, or like, you know, I take her like shopping a lot, because I have to like shop groceries, and sometimes.
But they
like,
love that. I love taking them grocery shopping. They love it.
I created a monster, I'm telling you, because my daughter, she is a shopper. Because every time she's like, she's just like, oh, can we order a new one? Can we order this? Can we order? Like, she knows about online.
So. I think I saw a clip.
Where I was talking about how she shops online. And then when we go to stores, she would like go and she would like move the clothes. Like we go to like grown-up stores,
a monster.
And she would like take it off the thing and like look at it, and then she'd go to the mirror. Like literally, I'm like, oh God. And then I'm like, I'm asking my husband, where do you think it came from? He's like, you're questioning where it came from? Oh, she'd be like in front of the mirror, and she's like, oh, you know, Mommy, do you like this? Does this necklace match my outfit? I'm like, oh no. But it's not such a bad thing, you know, it could be worse. So I'm creating a mini me.
Yes.
All right, well, I do want to chat a little bit more about balancing, because as we established, not everyone can take that break and slow down. Sometimes it's forced, you know, like you just burn out and you have to take a break. I have a personal experience with that, not for this episode, but I'll talk about it at some point. But the whole balancing kind of game, how is that going for you? And how does it make you feel that you still have to sacrifice a lot of your time and energy towards a job, and you can't spend as much quality time with your kids as you might have wanted?
Yeah, I feel like at first I found it tough because I feel like when I had my first, I was still kind of like climbing the corporate ladder, like trying to go to the next level as a software developer. So like, how do I level up? Like, what courses do I need to take in order to get to the next stage? And but I think what had happened was like at the current job that I'm at now, in February, I was aiming for a promotion. I wanted to level up and get promoted to the next stage. And I had a really great review. My manager he submitted me in for this promotion. And again, at this time, we like put this pressure on ourselves that like, oh, these titles are so important to us. And turns out I never ended up getting my promotion for certain reasons. And then like this happened in February. I was really upset about it. And I think something had shifted in my head where I was like, you know what, like this is not worth it. I was spending so much of my mental time aiming to level up and putting so much time into work to get to where I wanted it to be, and then I wasn't seeing the payoff even though I was getting really great reviews. And then what was being sacrificed? Like time with my kids. I was like working a bit later, so that meant, or working right after I put the kids to bed, I would go back onto my computer, and then that was taking time, like my mental presence away from them, even when I was with them. I was like thinking about work. So I feel like before that promotion happened, it was taking a lot of my presence from the kids. But then now after that had happened, I think I came to a point where I was okay with being at the level that I was at, but still being able to contribute to the company, still getting work done, but staying at this level. This is the season of my life and what is important to me. My kids are important to me right now. They're never going to be this age again. This is my time to connect with them, for me to create memories with them, because I feel like I don't want to live in that regret. I don't want to like regret the time where, oh, I wish I never tried to chase that promotion or spend so much time working those extra hours when I could have been like, spending longer, reading more bedtime stories with them rather than rushing back to my desk.
Yeah, or even just be more mentally present. Because like I remember myself coming back from work and still being in this like really kind of busy mindset, and I'd be making dinner and like checking my Slack and checking my emails and kind of continuing to be emotionally not with them, but at work.
Yeah.
And then even at bedtime, like I would hold my daughter's finger while she falls asleep, and I'd be like on Slack. So as much as I wanted to continue growing in my career, I realized that like for me personally, something's got to give. And that was a very hard realization, because I was so set to be like, I'm going to be the super successful, and I still will be. I just had to give up the idea of doing it all at the same time during the season. And I had a choice of like, do you now focus on your career and then sacrifice the early years of your children and that special connection with them, which is also sometimes something that people choose to do. And, men continue growing in their careers. But like for me as a woman, that was a very hard decision. And it came with a lot of grief about what I thought I would achieve by this point in my career. And also like the kind of unknown, because you don't know when exactly this season is going to end. Are you going to have the motivation and the energy to like continue? Are you going to be way behind? Because if you think of people who don't have children, they might not have the need to pause so they can continue growing. But I find that it's just so hard to make that decision and choice
in the moment.
And a lot of times it's women that have to make that choice, right? Like men can continue with their careers, and like we now are told that you have to be just as successful as men, but realistically, we can't be. Not that we can't be, we don't have the talent, the energy, the smarts, like we do for sure. But like if you choose to build a family and you want to have that family that, you know, is loving and connected, it's very hard to do. So yeah, coming back again to the whole work-life balance after having kids. So with everything that we talked about today, if you were to give yourself advice, your old self that hasn't had children yet and had a certain expectation of motherhood, what that advice would be?
I would say definitely take help when you need it. If you're able to do it, either hire help or ask for help from friends, family. They'll offer you the help, but then you're not gonna wanna take it because you'll feel bad, but the help is offered for a reason. So definitely take the help. Communication with your partner, with your husband is key, because if you're not communicating in the moment and then waiting until after the fact, that's gonna cause a lot of tension between you two. But if you set expectations for each other, at the beginning, from the get-go, I think things will run a bit smoother. And definitely don't be afraid to make time for yourself. You know, you need to fill up your own cup first. So for example, for me, I love exercising. So I make that time first thing in the morning. It's the only time that I have for myself. And I do it before the kids get up. That's a time that I make for myself to exercise, filling up my cup. And another thing is doing something that really gives me that extra joy. And for me, that's skateboarding. I love skateboarding. I'll skate when I can. And I actually get to do it when I do drop-offs with my kids for school. So it's okay. It's not being selfish. It's filling up your own cup, because if that cup is not filled up, then you can't be the best mom that you can be for your children. And the last thing is definitely your career. Your career isn't everything. Your career will always be there, but your kids being at this stage, you'll never get that back again. So don't be afraid to stop climbing the corporate ladder. Not stop, but putting it on hold.
In order to focus on something else during that season.
And slowing down is okay. If you're a go-getter like I was, it's okay to slow down. Slowing down is very, very healthy.
All right, so with this, I want to conclude this episode. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
So where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at elly.walton or TikTok at it's Elly Walton, and you'll be able to find some cool mom content on there. And I share a lot of beginner video editing tutorials. So don't forget to give me a follow.
Yeah, you guys, you're gonna love it. It's very useful. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I had
love
so
to
much
have
fun.
you here.
This is fun.
Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode. If you liked it, please subscribe and follow. I would love to see you as a part of my Instagram community at It Mom Club or my personal account, Paulina Perry. And I can't wait to share more episodes with you.